What's going on, everyone? We're back. We're in the second video, the second lesson. We're still talking about butterflies. This time we're talking about something that has a cool name, right? We're calling this trade a broken wing butterfly. So if you have seen the lesson on butterflies, you know they're a profitable strategy. They're best placed in periods of high volatility because they benefit from a reduction of implied volatility. Broken wing butterflies take what we learned with a normal butterfly that's done for a debit, and we figure out how to do it for a credit, right? And you'll see why that's so important. So if you remember a butterfly, right? We're buying calls. We're doing this on the put side or the call side, both at the same time. So it's four options, all calls or all puts at the same time, right? So what we're doing is we're buying, if we're going to do it on the call side, we're going to buy an out of the money call. We're going to buy an in the money call, and we're also going to sell two at the money calls, creating a butterfly spread, right? Now again, on butterflies, we profit again from little price movement as well as a reduction, that's wrong, a reduction of implied volatility. I can't even spell there, right? It's late, it's Saturday night, it's late, right? Now, most of the time, when we execute a butterfly, pretty much 100% of the time, when we execute a normal butterfly, we're doing it for a debit, right? We're paying it, right? Unfortunately, when we do a lot of things for a debit, although we can't lose a lot of money, we can only lose the amount of money that we're paying for the spread or the option. We can't make that much money, right? So what broken wing butterflies do and why they're so incredible is because we actually do them for a credit, right? We do it for a credit. So we don't buy options in the money and out of the money equal distance from the at the money strikes that we have sold, right? And obviously this improves our chances of making money significantly. So let's take a look-see of what we're going to do. So if we did the example again, and let me just show you, if we did the example again where we're going to do the butterfly, we're going to go ahead and buy the butterfly where we are buying the options 5% away from the at the money strikes. So the at the money strikes are the 258 strikes, and the reason they're the at the money strikes is because they're the closest ones to the current price of the stock. Then we're going to go ahead and buy an out of the money call 5% away. In this case, it's the 271 strike. We can go ahead and buy that. Right, and at the same time, we're going to buy the 5% call in the money. In this case, that's the 245 strike. 245. Cool. All right, we're doing this for $8. We're doing this for $8.25. The most we could make is $4.75. The most we could lose is $8.25. Right, now, if we wanted to execute a broken wing butterfly, it would be a much different trade, but we would do it for a credit. So we're going to do the exact same thing as we did before, where we're selling two at the money calls. Then we're going to go ahead, we're going to buy an in the money call only $2 away. Now at this point, we've done this for $1.62 credit. So to create a broken wing butterfly, we would just have to buy the furthest out of the money option that would allow us to do this trade for a credit still, right? So I see the 261 strike being for about $1.44, the 260 strike being for about $1.89, and the 262 strike being for about $1.08. Right? That tells me that we can buy the 261 call, which is $3 out of the money, and still execute this trade for a credit. Now we have significantly changed our chances of making money. If we look at this 5% wide butterfly, our chances of making money are about 33%. Right? If we can make about a half of what we could lose, we have about a 33% chance of making money. However, right now on our broken wing butterfly, right, we can make $218. We can only lose $82, and our break even is about $260. right? So rather than having like a 33% chance of making money on our butterfly, we have about a 61% chance of making money on our broken wing butterfly. And the reason for that is because we only have risk in one direction. Because we're doing this trade for a credit, in this example, we have no risk to the downside. That's pretty cool. Let's take a look at a broken wing butterfly on the put side. So what we're going to do again is we're going to sell the at the money puts. We're going to do it twice. We're going to go ahead and buy the in the money option. Let's do $3 in the money. We're going to buy that. And now we've done the 3 out of the 4 legs of this trade for $1.73. So we have to go find the next out of the money put that we could buy that would allow us to still be able to execute this trade for credit. In this case, that's the 251 strike. So we're going to go ahead and buy that. And now we're doing this spread for a 9-cent credit. So we will have absolutely no risk whatsoever to the upside. On the downside, our break even is 254.91 or 255. That's a 35 delta. So looking right now, our max profit is $309. Our max loss is $391. However, since our break even is 254.91, let's call it 255, we only have a 35% chance of losing money and a 65% chance of making money. Right? And if we make this spread a little bit tighter and we buy, let's say, the 260, let me go ahead and do that. So we're going to sell the 258 put twice. We're going to buy the 260 put, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy the first out of the money put that would allow us to do this for a credit. 254, a 20-cent credit. We have no risk to the upside. So we can make 220, we can lose 180, and we have about a 60% chance or so of making money. The reason I know that is because our break even is 256. It is a 40% chance of being in the money, a 60% chance of not. So again, we have a 60% chance of making money. We can make 220, we can lose 180. Right? So those are examples of broken wing butterflies, right? So we want to see how they work, right? So again, in 2003 to present, every single day we did 2 things, right? We did a butterfly, in which case we would go ahead and we would do what we did before. We'd sell the at the money call twice, and we would go ahead and buy the 5% wings. Now, what we did was we compared this strategy to the broken wing butterfly that we just showed, where we don't have risk to the downside, right? So let's do that again. So what we did here was on the call side, we would sell 2 at the money calls. Okay, we would go ahead and buy the out of the money call 5% wide, in this case 271, and then 5% in the money, right? 245. Now again, the price of SPY is really high compared to what it has been in the past. It's at an all-time high, actually, as I sit here today talking to you about this. There were times during this study where it was half of what it was. It was a quarter of what it was. So it's a little bit misleading right now in terms of how expensive butterflies are. They've only gotten this expensive in the last 2 years or so. But again, this study was from 2003 to present. So for the first 12 years or so, butterflies were significantly cheaper as they are. But I just want to show you how to execute those, right? So we compared that strategy to the one we just showed you, where we're going to sell the 2 at the money calls. We're going to buy one a little bit in the money, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy the first out of the money call that would allow us to do this trade for a credit, right? That would be the difference. In this case, we can make 218 or we can lose 282, right? So we just compared those two every single day for 13 years. And again, butterflies were way cheaper than they are right now because, again, SPY is at an all-time high. Even 2 years ago, they were significantly cheaper than they are right now. But again, we're comparing apples to apples still because butterflies are just as expensive as our broken wing butterflies are, when you look at the whole picture. So let's see how they did. Well, what I see here is a clear difference in win rate and profitability, right? A clear difference. And one of the reasons we have such a high win rate is, again, because these trades do not have risk to both sides. They only have risk to one of the sides. This allows them to be a high probability trade instead of a low probability trade. But let's take another look. Now, one of the things we did in the last study was we we know that they work in periods of high volatility, but one of the really big differences was early management. Early management substantially increased win rate, P&L per day, and substantially reduced the time that we had our money at work or in the trade, right? And it turned out that 25% profit target outperformed 50% profit target, 75% profit target, as well as holding until expiration, right? So we're going to compare what we did last time with the 5% wide butterfly compared to the broken wing butterfly, where we have no risk to one of the sides. It turns into a high probability trade because of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare both of these strategies to managing at 25% of max profit, right? So as it turns out, obviously you guys know managing a normal butterfly, a 5% wide butterfly at 25%, significantly improves our P&L per trade, right? Our P&L per day, all that stuff. When we look at the broken wing butterfly, right, we have a significant increase in percent of winners. We have a significant increase in P&L per day. We have a significant reduction in days in the trade, and we have a really big P&L per day, right? Obviously, the 25% managed broken wing butterfly outperforms the P&L per day by about 25% when you compare to to the actual regular butterfly. But one thing that I want you guys to know: while the broken wing butterfly managed at 50%, outperformed the normal butterfly, right, done for debit, managed at 25%, the ROI is absolutely crazy, right? In this case, our max loss, or the amount of money and margin we have to put up to make this trade, is $825. However, for the broken wing butterfly, our max loss is $82, right? So what's really interesting is we have to put up a tenth of the capital to get a 25% higher P&L per day, right? So this is one of the reasons why broken wing butterflies are so powerful too. Awesome stuff, guys. Broken wing butterflies are, in my opinion, more beneficial than normal butterflies. They require less capital. They give you a higher probability of winning, and they increase our P&L per day by about 25%. Obviously, the ROI is going to be a lot different because, again, they only require about a tenth of the capital. Broken wing butterflies, awesome. One of the cool things about broken wing butterflies is obviously they benefit greatly from a decrease of implied volatility, but broken wing butterflies, different than normal butterflies, can actually be done in all types of volatility, low or high. And the reason for that is because they're a high probability trade and they don't have risk to both sides. So I will see you guys on the next video.